need a size M crochet hook and some super bulky yarn. I'm using Uptown super bulky. I've got, I don't know if it has a color, steel gray and Dijon. So just two colors, whatever two colors you'd like of a super bulky yarn. It doesn't have to necessarily be this one. This one is an acrylic. It's 100 grams, 87 yards. So anything comparable to that would work just fine. Now, whatever color you start with, so in this instance, I started with the black. So that's going to be the color that does all of these increases. And you don't necessarily have to do the same color on the brim, but that's what how the pattern's written. So if you don't want to have to modify it, then just keep in mind that whatever color you start with is going to be the color that shows the increases here and the color that is your brim. Now, it doesn't really matter so much on the other side because it is reversible. It's just going to look like stripes no matter what. And again, your pom-pom, you could make it whatever color you want. I made it the opposite color as my starting color. So I think on this one, I'm gonna start with yellow. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. So if you don't want to have a pom-pom, then you can start with a magic ring or whatever you want for your starting technique. I am going to make a pom-pom, and I am going to, since it's a reversible hat, I'm going to attach that pom to a button. So I'm going to make sure that this hole is big enough. I just used a 1/2-inch button. If you want to use a bigger button, you can make this starting chain a little bit bigger. So I'm just going to chain 3 and join to form a ring. Now, you can, like I said, make this bigger. It just has to be big enough to fit whatever size button you're going to be. So a 1/2-inch button is pretty small and it can fit in there. I might make it 1 stitch bigger. And then I could fit up to probably a 3/4 inch button. But if you don't want to have a pom-pom, then for sure do not make this circle bigger because you don't want to have a hole in the top of your hat. All right, so you chain 3, you join to form a ring, then I'm going to work 12 double crochet in this ring. So chain 3, and that counts as my first double crochet, and then I'm going to do 11 more double crochet in this ring. And if you notice, I'm working over my yarn tail just to help weave it in a little bit as I go. Okay, so I have 12 stitches here. I'm going to join to the top of my chain 3 that counted as my first double crochet. And now I've got my starting ring. Again, I've got this circle here, so I can fit a button in there if I want a pom, and even if I don't want a pom-pom, it's not really a huge hole, but a chain 3 and join would have been a little bit tighter, or a magic ring. Okay, so I'm not going to change color yet. I'm going to keep going with the same color, chain 4, and that counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. So now in every stitch going around, I'm going to do a double crochet and a chain 1. So I'll end up with 12 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. So double crochet and chain 1. If you're familiar with interlocking crochet, this will feel very natural because that's what interlocking crochet does a whole lot, is double crochets and chain 1. So it's 3 double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and chain 1, and just all the way around in every stitch. So I should have 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And now when I join here, I'm going to join to the third stitch of the chain. So this was the top of that double crochet. This would be the chain 1 in between, and this would be the top of my starting double crochet. So I'm going to join to that stitch. So there should be a chain 1 in between my starting double crochet and the next one. All right. You don't have to, but right now I'm going to do a chain 4. This is my starting stitch and my starting chain 1 for the next round. But now I need to get my other color. So I'm going to pull up a loop here so it doesn't come unraveled and set that aside. And now I'm going to get my second color. Now you can join, if you know how to do a standing double crochet, you can join that way. I just like to make a slip knot. And it really doesn't matter too much if you're going to join in front of or behind this, but I'm going to join to the top of this same stitch. So I'm going to join right here. And I'm going to chain 4. Again, that's going to count as a double crochet and a chain 1. So I want this working yarn from my first color to stay in the front of my work, so it doesn't end up on the wrong side for the next row. And now I'm going to do this all the way around, working in the same stitch that these A color stitches came out of. So I'm going to just go right in the same stitch, double crochet, and chain 1. Now I'm going to do this all the way around, working in front of the stitches of the other color. So working in the exact same stitch, double crochet, chain 1. Working in the same stitch. So again, I'm going to have 12 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces. So now when I've come all the way around, it's a really weird part of the pattern because you've really got like 2 separate things going on here, but they're going to get joined together soon, so don't worry about that. Okay, so now we need to join again. We're going to make sure we leave a chain in between the double crochets. So there's the double crochet, the chain 1, and this is the top of our starting double crochet that we want to join to. And now go ahead and chain 4 to get ready for the next row. Pull up a loop, and we'll set that aside. So now we need to get our other color, our first color, our A color, in this case my mustard yellow. And we have our working yarn here. So we need to get this back on our hook. So we already did the first chain 4, and that counts as our first double crochet and our first chain 1. So now I'm going to work 2 double crochet chain 1 sets. Every time I do a double crochet, it's going to have a chain 1 separating. So just right in the top of this stitch, I'm going to go from the front of the work, kind of over this gray chain. I'm going to ignore that and go into my yellow stitch. Now keep it in the front here. So I've got my stitch and it's in the front of the work. Yarn over and pull through and finish my double crochet, chain 1. I'm going to do the same thing in the same stitch so I can increase. So I've got 2 double crochets separated by chain 1 spaces right in that stitch. Now I'm going to do just one of those in the next stitch. So make sure I get my stitch in the front, double crochet, and chain 1. Now in the next one, I'm going to do 2 sets of double crochet, chain 1. Again, find the top of that stitch, but keep it in front. We don't want to catch this gray yarn. We're only working into the same color. So double crochet, chain 1, and we'll do that again. Double crochet, chain 1. And then the next stitch, we're just going to do 1 double crochet and chain 1. Keep on going. So we're just alternating 2 stitches, 1 stitches, but everything always separated by a chain. So double crochet, chain 1, and then again double crochet, chain 1 in the same stitch. And then cat's trying to climb in the closet. And the next stitch, just 1 double crochet and chain 1. And then here we need to increase, so we're going to do 2 of those. Double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and chain 1. And keep going. Just 1 in this stitch, double crochet, chain 1, and then 2 in this stitch, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, chain 1. Just 1 in the next stitch, and 2 in the last stitch. Oops. I don't know why this color, it's like splitting a little bit on me. It's kind of annoying. It's okay. I didn't really have that problem at all with the black or the turquoise I used. Okay, so now when you're coming around and you're ready to join the round, you want to make sure your working yarn for the gray color or your other color, whatever color it might be, is in the front of the work. It's always the working yarn for your opposite color will always need to be in the front when you go past that point. All right, so again, top of the double crochet, the chain 1, and we'll join right here. So if you're familiar with interlocking crochet, this is gonna feel really familiar. The start's a little wonky, but otherwise it's just front stitches every round. So I'm chaining 4, and pull up a loop, and I'm gonna set that aside. Now for the gray color, so you should have, with the mustard, 18 double crochet. So just check yourself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. If you have 18, then you're good. And when you finish this gray round, excuse me, you will also have 18 gray double crochets. So again, I'm going to make sure this yarn is in the front of the work, and now I'll keep going. So this was my chain 4. It counts as a double crochet and a chain 1. So now going around here, I'm going to work a double crochet, chain 1 in every gray double crochet, but also behind every increase I need to add another stitch. So in that case, I'm going to work over the chain behind it. So I'll show you. So I'm going to yarn over this one. I'm going to work into that stitch. Again, I'm just ignoring that yellow. I'm not getting the yellow at all, just the gray from the front, a double crochet, and a chain 1. And this is where I need to increase, but I want this increase to end up in between these 2 stitches, not over here. So instead of working 2 stitches in the same gray stitch, I'm going to yarn over, go between these 2, grab my gray chain, pull it to the front, pull up a loop, do a double crochet and a chain one. So that increase is now in between those two stitches and in front of the chain between them. So this is going to make straight line of gray going down, and you're not going to see any horizontal line of yellow. On the back side, that horizontal line does show up, and if I had gone behind it, then it would make a break in the horizontal line there too. So if you want it to be reversible, you really have to make sure you're careful about that. Okay, so now we're going to keep going. I'm going to work into this stitch, and then through those two. So again, it's always going to be a double crochet and a chain one. So make sure my yellow is behind. Double crochet, chain one. Double crochet, chain one. And now here I need to make one in between here. So I'm going to reach through there, grab the chain. I always kind of pull it to the front. Now I grab my working yarn over and pull through. And now I can just finish my double crochet and chain one. So you are increasing the same amount on the gray row as you did for the yellow row, and your stitch count will end up the same, but you're never working two gray stitches into the same place when you increase. So it's a little bit different. So here again, I'm ready to increase. So between those two, grab the gray chain, pull it to the front, yarn over, pull through, and finish the double crochet. Chain one, and keep going around. And then we'll join to our starting chain. And chain four. Now for this next row, if you are doing one of the adult sizes of the hat, then you're going to do it as I show here. If you are doing one of the smaller sizes, so the toddler size or the child size, then you are going to do fewer increases here. So if you are doing the smallest size, you're only going to do 2 increases. So if you're doing that smallest size, you'll do an increase right here, and you'll do an increase in that same spot on the opposite side. So you'll only do 2 increases. And if you're doing the second smallest size, you're going to end up doing 4 increases. One here, here, and here. So it doesn't matter exactly where you put them. You can refer to the written pattern, it's free on my blog, but just know that if you're doing that second largest size, the child size for the 19-inch head approximately, you'll do 1 on each side of the pattern. And then when you do the gray row, you just make sure you increase at the same place that you increase the orange. But for all of the adult sizes, you're going to have 6 increases like I'm going to show here. Okay, so we'll get our starting color back on our hook. So we've done our first stitch here with our starting chain. We're going to do an increase here, and then we'll do 2 regular stitches, increase. So we're doing increases in the first of each of our previous increases. And if you wanted those increases in a different place, you could totally do that, but that's just how I did it. Okay, so here we're gonna always working from the front, get just our yellow so we're not working into this gray chain at all. Pull up a loop and finish our double crochet and chain one. Again, another stitch in the same place because we need to increase here, double crochet and chain one. Now the next two stitches are just regular double crochet, chain one without increasing, and then one more of those. Then we need to do another increase. So we'll work 2 sets of double crochet, chain one into this yellow stitch. And then 2 regular, not increasing, so get my yellow stitch, double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, and now another increase, double crochet, chain one, double crochet in the same stitch, and chain one again. Now 2 regular stitches, and then another increase. So at the end of this round, working the adult size hats, you will end up with 24 double crochet of each color. And now 2 regular stitches. So this hat works up really fast because you're doing this super bulky yarn, so it's a great kind of last minute hat. I know it's kind of middle of winter instead of getting ready for winter, so you may already have your winter hats for the year set up. But if you are like me and you procrastinate, then you might like this one. All right, another increase here. So double crochet, chain one, and double crochet, and chain one. Now 2 regular, double crochet, chain one, double crochet, chain one, and an increase, double crochet, chain one in the same stitch, double crochet, chain one, and then one more regular stitch. So we had an increase in 1 stitch here, so we need to have one more regular stitch here and chain one. Our working yarn for our gray has to be in the front when we join our round, and again leaving that extra chain in between the stitches, and chain 4. And now we'll get our other color. Again, our working yarn for this color needs to be in front. And I don't even think about, counting my stitches. I just make sure I work an increase behind every increase of yellow. But if you want to think about it, there are 3 grays and then an increase, 3 grays and then an increase going around. But so this counts as a stitch. Then we need one more regular stitch here. Oops. And then I'm gonna do my increase just the same as I did last time. I'm gonna reach between these, grab my gray chain in between my 2 stitches and pull it to the front, yarn over and pull up a loop, and then finish that double crochet and chain 1. And then I'll do 3 more regular stitches from the front. And then I need to increase again, reach between, grab my yarn, pull it to the front, yarn over, pull through a loop, and then finish the double crochet and chain one. Now I'm just going to do this all the way around and then join to my starting chain. Okay, so if you are making the adult small size, you are done increasing. If you are making the other two adult sizes, you need to do a few more increases. So if you're doing the adult large, you're going to make 2 more increases, and if you're doing the adult extra large, you're going to do 4 more increases. So if you're doing the adult large, you're going to increase here and directly across from it. Again, just directly across. And if you're doing the adult extra large, then you're going to increase here and here as well. So again, 4 points around the hat. If you prefer to have these increases kind of lined up together, you can increase here instead and here instead, and it's not really going to impact the hat. So you can kind of play with that, but as written, you're going to increase here and here and here and here if you're doing the extra large hat. So if you're doing the large, just these two. If you're doing the extra large, these 4. So let's get this back on our hook. So now I'm just going to make the large hat. I'm not making the extra large, so I'm going to do an increase here. So I'm going to do another double crochet and chain one in the same stitch. And now I'm just going to do regular stitches, so double crochet, chain one in each yellow double crochet all the way until I get around to here, the opposite side. So now I'm across from that previous increase, so now I'm going to make another increase. So double crochet, chain one, and then do the same thing in the same stitch. And now I'm just going to do regular stitches all the way around to the beginning of the circle. And when I join, I'm just going to make sure that this chain, this working chain for my other color, is in front, just like I have been. Okay, so now for the other color, I'm going to do the same thing we've been doing. Whenever I had an increase, I'm going to increase my gray by reaching through. So since I'm doing the adult large, I'm only going to have 2 of those on this round. And I didn't mention, sorry, you're still going to keep this working in front. I didn't mention the written pattern. We'll have the instructions going forward for how many rows to do of just regular crocheting for the other hat sizes, but you can refer to that. It's linked in the description here. Okay, so here's my increase, reach between, grab my chain, pull it to the front, yarn over and pull through, and then finish the double crochet and chain one. Then just a regular double crochet and chain one. Then I'm going to just do this regular all the way until I get to that next increase. Just working a double crochet, chain one in every gray double crochet. So at the end of this round, I should have 26 double crochets for each color. I think this would kind of actually be a fun pattern to do with a smaller yarn so you can really see the kind of tree pattern growing. But I wanted a really quick project, so we made this one out of bulky. So I did do that increase there when I came to the orange increase. I did in between those two. And now I'm just finishing off a regular all the way to the end of the round. join to my starting chain. And chain 4. So here's our hat really taking shape now, and you can see the back of it is just horizontal circles, so that's kind of cool. You can wear it either way when you're done with it. And now at this point, you're going to keep working around and around. You don't need to do any more increases. You're just going to work yellow into yellow, gray into gray, always from the front, and doing double crochet, chain 1 in each stitch. You're going to do that for 4 more rounds for this size. Again, you can see the instructions for the other sizes on my blog in the description, or you can purchase a pattern from Ravelry and Etsy. Alternatively, you can just work until you're about 2 inches shorter than you want your finished hat to be. So I'm going to do 4 more rounds of each color, and then I'm going to come back and show you the end of the hat. All right, so if you finished, again, about 2 inches shorter than your final length, you can go ahead and cut off your bee color and tie that off. So that's my gray. I'll weave that in later. And now with my A color, I had chain 4 like I normally do, but I'm going to take one of those out, so it's just a chain 3. And that counts as a double crochet, no chain 1. So from now on, I'm not going to separate anything with chain 1s. So what I'm going to do for this round is for every yellow stitch, I'm going to work a double crochet, and in every gray stitch, I'm going to work a single crochet. So this one counts as a double crochet to start. So I'll do a single crochet here in the first gray stitch, and a double crochet in the yellow. So I'm going to do this all the way around. Single crochet in the gray, double crochet in the yellow. Single crochet gray, double crochet yellow. Oops. I'm going to do this all the way around, and then I'll join to my starting chain. Okay, so I've gotten all the way around and I've joined, and now the stitch counts here are going to be slightly different depending on what size you're doing. So the interlocking crochet tends to be a little less stretchy and a little less big, wide than a regular crochet, so we're going to decrease a little bit. I'm going to take out 4 stitches around this round. So I'm going to do double crochet 11, decrease 4 times around, so total of 4 decreases. So I did a chain 3, that counts as my first double crochet. So here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and now I'll double crochet 2 together. Yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, then yarn over, pull up a loop, pull through 2, and then pull through all 3 loops. So it's a double crochet decrease. I'm going to do that 3 more times. So 11 regular double crochet and a double crochet decrease. Okay, so now this next row, if you like a little bit smaller section here, you can skip this next row as long as your hat is long enough. But for me, for the next round, I'm going to do basically the same thing, but I'm going to decrease another 4 stitches. And you can stagger them if you want to. I find that it's not obvious in this hat, so I don't care about staggering them. So I'm going to do 10 double crochet and then a decrease. So last round I did 11 double crochet and then a decrease. This time I'm doing 10 just because I have fewer stitches. So I'm still decreasing by 4, and as long as they're spread out around the hat, you don't even have to count really if you don't want to. Just 1 at each quarter of the hat is fine. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And one advantage here, it's top down, so you can definitely try it on as you go to make sure it's the right length for you. 7, 8, 9, 10, and then a decrease. Now I'm just going to do that same thing 3 more times. 10 regular double crochet and then a decrease until I get back to the start. All right, so now we've gotten around. So I dropped 4 stitches that row and 4 stitches that row. So for this hat, I dropped a total of 8 stitches. So I should have a total of 44 stitches since I had 52 and I dropped 8. So now to finish this off, I'm just going to do a row of crab stitch. Again, this is optional. It's also called reverse single crochet, or I guess if you're in the UK, it'd be reverse double crochet. I use US terms. So to start, I'm just going to do a chain, and now I need to insert my hook going to the right. So I'm going to insert it in the next stitch to the right, pull up a loop, and then yarn over and pull through both, just like a regular single crochet there. So again, insert in my stitch to the right, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. I'm just going to do this all the way around. Just gives it kind of a nice edge. Like I said, you don't have to do it. It looks just fine without it. It also can tighten it up a little bit if you find the brim to be a little bit loose. Conversely, if your brim is not loose and you want to do this, then be careful not to have your tension too tight because you can make it a little bit tighter. It doesn't have as much give as the double crochet does. So I'm going to do this all the way around until I get back to my starting position. So now I've come all the way around to where I started. I'm going to do one more. Some people will slip stitch into this one. I think I'm going to do one more and then slip stitch there. So I'm going to go in here. And then it's a little awkward to slip stitch reverse, but I'm going to go in here, pull up a yarn, and then pull it through this one. And then I can cut my yarn and pull it through. And now when I weave this end in, I'm going to weave it in this direction, and it'll kind of pull it that way so that it blends in to the edging. So that is it for this. And then of course I'll have to weave in my ends. I'm actually rather annoyed because this hat, the yellow color, had 2 knots in it, so I've got 4 extra ends to weave in. But that's that. So if you want to make a pom-pom, you totally can. As I mentioned, this hat is reversible. So let me scooch up a little bit here. So this is the one side and this is the other side. So whichever way you like it, you can wear it, you can switch it back and forth. Here's the top. Like I said, it doesn't show too badly, that hole, but if you did want to make a pom-pom, you would want to make one that's removable if you're going to want to be able to reverse the hat. So on this other one that I made, I don't think I'm going to make a pom-pom for this one, but for this other one that I made, I just attached it with some yarn to a 1/2 inch button, and then I can button that on to the top here. And then if I wanted to reverse the hat, I can just unbutton that, turn it inside out, and then button the pom-pom back on. So if you do want to make a pom-pom, I suggest attaching it to a button. If you do just a chain 3, you really aren't going to be able to fit a button bigger than a 1/2 inch. Since I did a chain 4 here, I probably could fit a 3/4 inch button. So be aware of that. Yeah, that is it. Oh, if you want to make your own pom-pom, I do have a separate tutorial on how to use a pom-pom maker. I highly recommend a pom-pom maker instead of just doing it without one because they usually just come out better. So I will link to that in the description of the video. Can't resist trimming it now that I've got it off. Yeah, and if you make this hat. I'd love to see it. You can tag me on Instagram or Facebook. On Instagram, it's kickin_crochet, and on Facebook, it's just kickin crochet. So happy crocheting.